Detroit Homecoming has been made possible by the William Davidson Foundation, stimulating innovation, developing leadership, sustaining valuable programming, and tackling critical problems in 4 focus areas: Jewish life, economic vitality, cultural and civic vitality, and education. And by the Ford Foundation. We believe in the inherent dignity of all people and are guided by a vision of social justice, a world in which all individuals, communities, and peoples work toward the protection and full expression of their human rights.
Hello, hello, hello. What a great day to be here in the Motor City. I am so proud to have an opportunity to be a part of this today. I am a Detroiter, born and raised on Livernois and Ewald Circle, proud graduate of St. Cecilia and also of the University of Detroit Jesuit High School. So this is a wonderful opportunity for me to speak on sports in Detroit, especially considering the fact that I had a chance to play Police Athletic League sports. I was a member of the Boys and Girls Clubs of Southeastern Michigan, the Howard B. Bloomer Building on Livernois and Michigan, as well as St. Cecilia playing for the legendary Sam Washington. So thank you very much for coming, and I'd like to introduce to you our panel of distinguished guests. Not this kid, though. He plays for Michigan State. Tom Farrey from the Aspen Institute and formerly of ESPN with the beautiful Detroit Pistons jersey on. Blake Griffin, superstar athlete from the Detroit Pistons. We love him. We're so happy that he is a part of our community. Diane Dietz, Big Ten Deputy Commissioner and first woman to be inducted into the University of Michigan Athletic Hall of Fame. Dave Beachnau, who is the Senior Vice President of the Detroit Sports Commission, and he's got a lot of goodies in store for us. And once again, the Big Ten Player of the Year and the University of Detroit graduate as well, Cassius Winston, my man. Such an important topic today, sports in Detroit, and doing what we can to bring as much access to the games and as many events as possible to our city. And with that in mind, we'll start you off. Let's watch the video.
I'm here to announce my retirement from sports. Baseball, basketball, all of them. I feel like it's time. The pressure that it takes to play at my age is just too much. So I'm done with the endless advice from parents to keep my head up, to keep my head down, to keep my head in the game. I know you think you helped. I'm walking away from the coaches that left me on the bench every time the game was on the line. I'll miss my friends and the fun we had when we were young. I said I'd play this game as long as I was having fun. And now, it's time to call it quits. Any questions?
Don't retire, kid. That's what we're here for today. And I thought that was very, very, very telling. And Tom, can you give us a deeper idea of what this campaign is about and how you're involved in it?
Yeah, so this campaign was really the product of an incredible collaboration between ESPN, the Ralph C. Wilson Jr. Foundation based right here in Detroit, which is making deep and very innovative investments. Probably the most, it's unprecedented what the Wilson Foundation is trying to do in terms of using sport and recreation to build healthy kids and communities. As well as a number of other organizations in Project Play. So, you know, Dick's Sporting Goods and Nike and Under Armour and competitors coming together to recognize that we have an issue in this country, that sports are amazing. We know sports can build healthy kids and communities. Kids who play sports stay in school more often. They go on to college. They have lower rates of chronic disease. They are more active parents, and because of that, they're role models and have more active kids. But we have a system now in youth sports where it's become so expensive. And this ad, this is one of the digital ads you may see in billboards at the airport and around town. It's become so expensive to play sports now, and there's so much pressure on kids to perform at a really early age. Chris Webber yesterday talked about it at the Project Play Summit, that they're stepping away from the game, or they're being structurally pushed aside, and that is not good for any of the stakeholders in building vibrant communities. So this campaign is designed to say, listen, folks, we got a problem. Let's wake up. Let's drive towards solutions, which you can see there, as well as at projectplaysemi.org, how to get coaches trained, how to get parents better educated on keeping their kids in the game, whole set of resources, trying to solve the problem.
Terrific. Blake, what ran through your mind? I'm sure as a professional athlete, that may have resonated with you, what that young man was saying.
Yeah, for a lot of reasons. Growing up playing sports, I also played for my dad. He was a basketball coach. He's been a basketball coach for 45 plus years now. I was lucky because he encouraged me and my brother both to play a lot of sports growing up. So I didn't get burned out at an early age. I played basketball for 3-4 months, played football for 3-4 months, baseball, soccer. I did it all. So like I said, I was fortunate to have a coach and a father figure in my life who encouraged us doing whatever we wanted and keeping it light. Never forced us to do anything. It's unfortunate today that kids are at such a young age are not enjoying sports because that's what it's all about, and that's sort of the basis where you learn the basic principles of leadership, teamwork, and striving towards a goal. So this is an unbelievable opportunity and something that we're happy to be behind.
Thank you very much. Cassius, Detroit kid, University of Detroit graduate, high school and Michigan State, not only Big Ten Player of the Year, but all academic as well. What ran through your mind when you watched this spot?
Definitely the same thing. What stood out the most was that he said he wasn't having fun anymore, and at a young age, that's when sports are pure. That's when you're supposed to enjoy, what you're doing out there. It's easy to quit something as a kid if you're not having fun. And growing up, having fun was the most important part. You're playing sports because your friends are playing with you, your brothers are playing with you, your family is enjoying it, and that's where the important part is. When a lot of kids sometimes now are pressured into playing a sport. If I'm a parent, I'm paying all this money for you to play. You can't quit. You have to have fun. You have to put in. You have to do this. You have to do that. And that's not what the sport is about. The sport is about building those relationships, building that confidence, and enjoying yourself. You need to have that fun. The same way kids play video games, the same way kids do all type of hobbies they have is free and it's pure, and they're enjoying it. And at the time that you stop enjoying something, that's the time you should give it up. No matter what you're doing, if you're not having fun, if you're not having a good time, that is when you give it up. So you got to find a way to keep the game pure, to keep it enjoying yourself, to keep having a good time, and that will grow as you grow. And if you have that happiness, that sport will never leave you, and you are going to encourage that. If I enjoy basketball for the rest of my life, I'm going to try to make sure my son enjoys whatever his sport is because I had that happiness, I had that joy, and you're going to pass that down. It's going to keep getting passed down.
Or daughter.
Or daughter. I'm sorry. Or daughter.
Might have one of those too. Ms. Dietz, now we have two legends here, one at the professional level, also one at the college level, but I don't think anybody in this room accomplished as much as you accomplished as an athlete. You played 6 sports at one time, and you left Michigan after scoring 2,076 points. You're in the University of Michigan Hall of Fame. First of all, it doesn't look like you passed a lot.
I was high on the assist list too, just saying. That comes up a lot.
The next pass she makes will be her first. So your reaction to what you just saw?
My first reaction when I saw it, I was literally jumping out of my chair because I felt like finally this message might be getting some momentum. And the first thing I did was research what you've been doing and just the variety of people you have behind the message. And because 30 years ago, I started to notice that trend. And I think I love that you said daughter. I was a daughter, and as far as I know, I had the same parents as all of my brothers, and so our DNA was probably similar. And when we went out in the backyard, we all played, and we played with our friends, and we played with our neighbors, and we played with the kids we went to school with. There were 200 kids in our neighborhood, and we played basketball, football, baseball, soccer. We made up games. We played baseball with tennis rackets and tennis balls. We designed our own par 3 golf course amongst our neighbors' backyard. They really appreciated that. But we just played 24/7, all day, every day. And so when I started to notice the kids moving away from their school programs and their neighborhood programs and their backyards, I was frustrated by it. And then it just seemed to get worse and worse and worse. And all of a sudden, parents were putting their kids in the back of their SUV and driving 3 states over to play their neighbors. And paying for that, and paying for hotels, and missing holidays. And I just was really frustrated by it. So to see that finally there may be some momentum behind that message, and there may be an opportunity for kids to just be kids again, I was very excited by that.
And Gus, I have a little bit of a different perspective on this as well. So the Sports Commission, our role is to drive the economy through attracting and hosting sporting events. We all know about the big events, the high-profile events, but our lifeblood are these youth tournaments that take place every weekend throughout our region. And we're seeing a fall off for sure in certain sports, but in particular, boys basketball, youth basketball. And we talk about summer basketball, and it always kind of connotates to AAU. Well, the real AAU isn't what it was 10, 15, 20 years ago. We would host tournaments for 140, 150 teams. They'd come from all over the country. They'd be here for 6 days. But now it seems it's more the elite athlete, the kids that want to compete and want to improve it as basketball players are falling off. So participation, not only in the sport itself, but events that we host, that's concerning.
You know, I'd like to talk to you all about my experience growing up here briefly in Detroit, and what Dave is saying is so important. You know, I grew up, as I mentioned, on the west side, Livernois and Davison, Dexter, Ewald Circle, and had an opportunity. You know, in my career, I'm a sportscaster, and I'm considered, I think, you know, what they know me for is being excitable and being passionate. And I learned all that here, growing up in Detroit. And I've traveled the world. I've called international soccer the Champions League, which is the second largest tournament in the world aside from the World Cup. I've done the NCAA tournament, the NFL, the NBA, college basketball, college football. I did the Tigers for a couple of years. And the thing about it is growing up in Detroit and having an opportunity to be on these fields from, you know, I played hockey at Jack Adams, and I played baseball at Patton Park, and all the different places, the boys club. It just gave you a sense of community. It gave you a sense of responsibility. It gave you a sense of leadership. And these are all fundamental building blocks that I hearken back to every day in my life, especially in terms of what I do for a living. And it was the people and the coaches and the parents. And that's one thing about playing sports. And we were talking about it in the green room before the game. Sports is ecumenical. It doesn't matter your religion. It doesn't matter your race. It doesn't matter your ethnicity. Everybody kind of gets behind the athletes and their teams, even the other teams. You want them to do well. Can you guys expand on that a little bit?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Like I said, it's like it's so many lessons that you learn through sports just growing up. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure everyone in this room could think about a lesson that they learned from anything, whether it's how to fail, how to get back on your feet, how to help a teammate out, not just yourself, you know, how to work in a group. You know, all these things come and they start at a young age. And if you don't have that structure, you know, you don't have that, whatever the sport is, to help you with those life lessons that can help you out, now you got to find where to learn those things from. And the easiest place to learn them from is from sports. And, you know, just like I said, if you're not enjoying it or if you're putting sports aside, it's very difficult to get those type of lessons that can help you not just in the sports world, but in life itself.
You know, I'll add that I want to give a lot of credit to the Ralph C. Wilson Jr. Foundation for recognizing something that really no other foundation around the country has recognized, which is the opportunity for sports and recreation to bring people together around something they believe in. We know from our surveys that 90% of parents want their kids to be involved in sports, that they want sport to be a good experience. It's something that's going to develop the human potential of their child. Republicans believe this, Democrats believe this. I mean, this is across the spectrum. So in this time of like political divisiveness and otherwise, sport, especially sport participation involving children, is something we can all mobilize around. And we do know that if that happens, if we can move the numbers from less than 20% of kids right now being active in this region to this number, 51, Pistons made this jersey for me. They said, what number do you want on your jersey? I'm like, I don't know, I don't have a favorite number. I said, give me 51. Why? Because if we can get most kids playing sports, most kids physically active, most coaches trained in the key competencies in working with youth, it will be transformative to our communities. So let's just get to 51%. Let's just get to that tipping point, and you'll see incredible things happen.
Dave, you know, no city in the United States of America has all four major sports franchises, football, basketball, Major League Baseball, hockey, playing in such downtown proximity. You're part of the Sports Commission, Senior Vice President, in our effort to capitalize on Detroit's rich sports fabric to boost the economy, build a fan base of all ages. Now, we've seen great things come into our city. We've seen the Super Bowl, All-Star Game, Final Four. What's next?
That's a great question, and you alluded to the run we had in the early 2000s, and I think we are now poised for that next generation of major events. And one thing that we did 3 years ago, and we were very strategic about it, is over the years, it seems like in our community, there was competition among venues, among teams, and we made the decision to try to get everyone under one tent with the same vision, the same thought process that what's good for one is good for everyone. So we created the Detroit Sports Organizing Corp, which is made up of key stakeholders in the community. That's all four professional sports teams, that's the venues, that's the public and private sector, and it really allows us to drive strategy on what the future looks like with major events that we are looking at to host right now. So when you think about NFL Draft in 2022, one of the things that we're in the mix for right now, we're hosting 7 NCAA championships over the next 3 years. Frozen Four next year, another round of men's basketball in 21, the Division I wrestling championships in 22, which in my mind is one of the NCAA's best events. We probably will have an NHL All-Star game the next 3 or 4 years. The NCAA has just come out with their next cycle of championships. I would love to have another Final Four here in Detroit. 2009, for those of you that were here, it was absolutely amazing. And to have Michigan State here was just icing on the cake. I would love to get Cassius's perspective on his experience at the Final Four in Minneapolis this past year. But it's events like those that, sure, they have great economic impact in the community, but it's also a community sense of pride that the NCAA or the NFL has chosen your city for their biggest and best events. And it also provides an opportunity for our local youth and residents who, many of them don't have tickets to be in the stadium at the game, but the Fan Fest and the other experiences that go along with it. I remember back in 2009, we had the dribble that the NCAA Final Four hosts every year. But to see 4,000 kids dribble a basketball from Comerica Park all the way down to Cobo Center, which is now TCF Center, by the way, was an awesome, awesome experience and vision to see.
And how do big sporting events create opportunities for kids, especially when you include some of the legacy gifts, Dave?
Yeah, and I think that's based on a decision that the event properties make themselves in cooperation with our local organizing committees. But when you think about some of the things that we're looking at in the future with an NFL draft and maybe an equipment donation to some of the local high schools and middle school teams that need equipment. But I think more than that, it's just the exposure and the experience that our local youth have. And everyone wants to be a Division I athlete, but guess what? There are so many opportunities across the NCAA. I had a very modest career at a Division III school in Michigan. So I think it exposes students to opportunities to go on to college, and they don't have to be the elite athlete or Division I athlete, but there's so many opportunities. And I think the educational piece of it as well that comes along with it, and being a part of that in the community.
Well, we would be remiss if we didn't have an opportunity to talk to my main man, Blake Griffin, about his transition to Detroit, coming from the Clippers. Blake not only is, one of the most incredible players in the NBA, but also a good human being, good man. What's it been like? How have you adjusted to the city? What are your thoughts, and how are we looking this year? Let's get to the basics.
How much time do you have?
My first impression, I said this a long time ago when I first got here, was this city has unbelievably passionate sports fans, and coming from a place that was, has so much going on, the sports aren't always the main focus. It was really refreshing to be around that. And one thing about the fans here, they're not only passionate, but they're educated in the sport, and that makes a difference for players. When you're going to games, and you can tell fans know, a team, you might not be winning, but fans can tell your intent and how you're playing. And that's one thing that I love about fans here is they appreciate a team that plays hard and works hard, and is actively trying to win and play the right way. So it was really refreshing to see that, coming here, and to speak on how we're looking this year. I love Coach Casey. I love our team. I love our organization, the things they've done. The new arena downtown, we have a brand new practice facility that's going to open in, I think, less than a month. And this franchise has really committed to being among the city of Detroit and among the people, and moving forward. And we've been working out for the past couple weeks. We had a mini camp in LA where the guys got together, a mini camp in Vegas this summer. So these guys have really committed to being the team that we want to be, and continuing to lay that foundation that we sort of started last year. I know it didn't end the way we wanted it to, but for us and a new coaching staff and a lot of new players, we have to start somewhere. And that foundation was laid, in my opinion, but now we have to keep growing, and we've already started to begin that process.
Well, welcome to Detroit.
Thank you.
We're so happy to have you here,
Appreciate
folks.
it.
Blake Griffin. Speaking of falling a little short, Cassius, I'm so proud of you for so many different reasons. And not only were you the Big Ten Player of the Year, you led your team to the Final Four last year, came up a little short, but academically you've always been stellar. How the Spartans looking? We gonna win it this year or what? What's up? Number one team in the country, right?
Yeah, preseason number one. Got it.
Go green.
Go white. No, we got a really, really good team. I won't sugarcoat it. Got a lot of good players, a lot of good pieces. Got everything you really need, and all you can ask for is an opportunity. And we got an opportunity, so we're gonna do everything we can to execute, not get too ahead of ourselves, focus on one game at a time, and hopefully at the end of the year we can have a different conversation about a championship.
And hopefully at the end of the year, we'll bring you guys back, and you will be passing to him.
That'd be sweet.
Now that's what's up. In closing, we'd like to open the floor for questions. Stand up and state your name and tell us, any questions? Okay, big fella.
John Duffy, Ruby, hi. Hope you guys.
Go Cubs.
What role do parents play in where we've ended up in sports and why? What do you all be doing to try and change that? I coached for 17 years.
I mean, look, that's what the whole Don't Retire Kid campaign's about, saying, look, we're doing something wrong here. I personally don't spend a whole lot, I know what you're talking about. I actually don't spend a whole lot of time blaming parents for the problems of youth sports. I think they're mostly responding to a system that is dysfunctional at best and broken at worst. I wrote a piece in the New York Times a few months ago about Norway's system. okay? It's probably the most effective sports system in the world. And what they do is they have this children's rights in sport document that says, listen, before the age of 13, every kid deserves a sport experience. It needs to be low cost. It's not about travel ball. It's about quality coaching, having the kids' voice in the design of the experiences. If they want to transfer clubs, it's fine, no problem. It's not about identifying the next generation of elite athletes and entertainers. And because they've got that framework in place, that statement in place, they have 93% of kids playing sports in that country, and they produce more elite athletes on a per capita basis than any nation in the world. They just won the last Olympics, killed, 39 medals. It's because they're committed to what both of these guys talked about, love of game and development being the priorities at the young ages. Parents today are presented with, geez, there's the second grade AAU national championships in basketball. Well, if I don't get my kid on that track, they're going to be left behind. And so the travel teams form, when kids are 6 and 7 and 8 years old. And a lot of parents don't want to go with this, but they feel like if they don't go with it, their kid's not going to have a chance to even play in high school. So we've got to stop putting parents in bad situations. We need to talk about some structural changes. And then parents also need to know, the right questions. We've created on Project Play. You can go to projectplay.scmi.org, like a checklist, 9 questions that parents can ask themselves, their child, and their local sport provider. Are your coaches trained? Kid, what do you want to play and in what form? And then yourself. So this doesn't become about you and making, competitive parenting and all that, but instead makes it more an experience that is developmentally appropriate for kids. So if parents can be educated and informed, I think they can be the game changers in sports, but they're a long way off right now. They're just lost, and they're just doing the best they can.
I think the biggest issue is they think that that's the road to getting a full ride college scholarship, and we all know what percentage that is of kids that actually do that. They should be focusing more on their education that will get them into any college that they want to go to. And I think we've lost sight of that. I'm a parent myself, and I get it. I've been around it. But I think if we can educate them on study first, get your 4-point, and then worry about sports and other extracurricular activities later, I think that's would go a long way for the future for our kids.
Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Could you say that again? Sorry.
How much does social media play in kids dropping out of sports, not even getting involved in sports, as well as gaming? Those kids that like the game.
Some of the bullying that goes on social media.
Yeah. I was sort of fortunate because I didn't grow up with that. And now I think too many times the focus is on those highlight plays. And those big moments. And I think sometimes kids feel that if they don't have those big moments or they don't have those big experiences or they don't have that feeling, then they're not playing the game the right way. In general, social media, I think, has hurt us in that cause because it basically is just everybody's highlights. You're only seeing people's highlights. You're not seeing their real life. But my biggest thing is for youth sports, encouraging kids to have fun is one thing, but educating coaches on how to properly coach a kid, because kids are different than us. I mean, you can yell at us. We've chosen to do this, but kids are so fragile. I think that spending more time with coaches, spending more time with parents, like he said, a lot of times parents now are seeing kids as a dollar sign. Instead of just encouraging them to have fun. Like I said earlier, I was blessed to be in a situation where I was encouraged to do a lot of different sports. I didn't have to pick a sport and focus on it early. I know I got away from the social media topic, but go ahead.
I'm sorry, but esports is a new phenomenon, right? And everyone's kind of following that, and we've got a esports player who was here in town called Ninja. I don't know how many of you have heard of Ninja, but he's making $500,000 a month playing video games on TV, on the internet while people are paying to watch him. And so I think, that, goes back to the whole sports aspect of it. And, okay, can my kid, play this video game and start to make money? So, and I think that's what's driving kids away from participatory sports as well. It's just a whole nother world that we're currently living in.
I wonder too if on your gaming question, if it's not a little bit of a chicken and an egg, because, and this is anecdotal, I don't have any research at all, but when I watch nieces and nephews and kids who do enjoy gaming, the one thing that will get them off the couch and away from their game is to actually go play in their basketball game or their soccer game if they're having fun. And when they're not having fun, they're, no thank you, I'll stay and play my video game. And I think they sort of compete with each other a little bit, but that goes to the structural issues you were talking about. If we can fix the structural aspects around the actual sport, I think kids will get off the couch and want to go play the sport.
Think about what the video game companies do. They give kids exactly what they want. There's lots of action, there's lots of access to the action. It's a social experience because now they're on the phone, the headsets with their kids. Room for experimentation. And when you mess up, nobody yells at you. Game start, game stop when you want. They've basically given kids the perfect sport experience, but there's no physical activity. So what I say to youth sport organizations who wring their hands about this is like, man, don't complain about that. Learn from them and up your game. Don't just stick a kid in right field and have them touch the ball twice in an hour and a half. And Cassius got out and we were talking back. Yeah, that's not what they want. You got to improve. You got to get those feedback loops. Get the kid's voice into the experience. What do they want? And then give them what they want, and they will come back. Because it's playing with your friends in a physical setting is better than hanging in your room doing this.
We think.
It's true.
Anecdotal.
Yeah, I can say something on it too, because I guess I might be the only one that actually grew up like.
I was waiting for that.
I might be the only one that actually grew up like a gamer. You know what I'm saying? Like we actually like.
What's your game you play? Fortnite.
2K, Call of Duty, Madden, whatever. Yeah, I'm a gamer. Like, you know what I'm saying? We play the game. We do the social media. That's what we do. And it all comes back to that joy and that happiness. And if you enjoy it, if you enjoy sport, you will find time for it. You will make a way that you can. I'm gonna play basketball. I'm gonna play it for hours and hours and hours. And after that, I'm gonna play the video game. And then after that, I might go to Twitter or something. If you enjoy it, if that's what you do, if that's what you love, you're gonna find a way to fit that into your life. No matter how old you are, no matter what, you're gonna find a way. So it all comes back to building that. As a kid, I enjoyed playing basketball with my brothers for 4 hours, and then we would play 2K for the next 2. And it was it was okay. Like we had fun and we enjoyed it. So if you find a way to build that love and that passion and that joy as a young age, the kids are smart. They grow up with social media. They grow up with video games. So you can't eliminate it. It's going to be there, but they're going to find a way to incorporate it all into what they do and how they grow.
For those of us that are over 35, boy, had the world changed. I have a 16-year-old, and the whole video game thing, I just don't get it. He just goes into a zone, and it's over. Anyway, more questions, a couple more questions. Yes.
Girl, have to have the same access to sport and ability to thrive in the sport. So we talk about
Ms. Dietz, I'm sure you'd like to comment on that.
No, I agree 100%. And I was very fortunate. I didn't make any distinction at all. Didn't have issues with access and didn't have issues with male versus female. So, and I know that wasn't true for a lot of the people that were from my generation. So I agree wholeheartedly with what you said, and I think one of the most critical issues is finding that access for everybody.
Okay, well, I'm sorry. Unfortunately, that's all the time that we have. I'd like to thank all of our panelists. Thank you for joining us, and have a wonderful day.